y'all? It's me, Angel B, and welcome to the Healthy and Healed Lifestyle Exchange. Today, we are going to be discussing body positivity, and I have some of my homegirls with me so that we can really shed light on what it means to love our body or to learn to love our body because some of us have to just work up to get there, and we want to encourage you to do so. So I have some amazing women who are going to discuss this with me tonight, and I hope you guys enjoy this conversation and are encouraged by each and every last one of their stories. So with me tonight, I got my girl Crystal, my girl Tamika, Larissa, Jen, Bree, Taylor, Latasia, and Destiny. So girls, I have a question. I ain't leave nobody out, right? It's a bunch of us, but I think I called on everybody, right? I have a question, ladies, to start this off. What, in 1 minute or less, tell me how you would describe your relationship with your body. And I'm gonna give y'all 2 seconds to do like a pick me hand raise before I just call on somebody and be like, this gonna be you. Crystal, I love it. Tell me, in 1 minute or less, describe your relationship with your body.
My relationship with my body has been challenging. It's just been, if that's just what it is, you can overcome those challenges, but I have been small, bigger, thicker. Marriage gave me a chest that is just like huge. And in my mind, it's just like, why can't certain things go away? I live with the fupa, all right? The fupa is mine now. And it's just like, how do you get past those challenges? So yeah, challenging would be the word.
Okay, I love it. Destiny or Latasia, whichever one of y'all come off of mute first, because I don't know who raised their hand first.
Latasia.
Okay. 1 minute or less, describe your relationship with your body.
Okay, so when I first heard that question, I was thinking, oh, we're in the honeymoon stage. So I know, right? So of course, well, I ain't gonna say of course, because not everyone I don't think has the insecurity of not liking their body, but I feel like me, since I was young, I can't even remember when I didn't have an issue with my body. I feel like I came out the womb just like not liking stuff about my body. And my toes for sure is one of them. But I mean, watching stuff on TV, I can remember like looking at cartoons or looking at, TV shows, and I guess feeling like I was too fat or, whatever. I was a thick child. Just as thick as I am now. Like I've always been a thick child. And I've always had the fupa girl. So Chris, I feel you. I've been living with the fupa all my life, and it's like I never could get, and I have a high sitting stomach too. So it's like I have to, do sit-ups or whatever to make it go in. But as I got older, I started to love my body more. And so I would say that now the relationship that I have is becoming reacquainted with who I am and my body and accepting it for the first time, how it is. And still working, of course, because I want to be healthy and happy, but just, it's like when you first get to know someone and then you get into a relationship with them. And so I've been working on this maybe since 2018. So I'd say that we are married and we are in the honeymoon stage. Like I
love it. Married and in the honeymoon stage. Des, how would you describe your relationship with your body?
So I would say I have a love-hate relationship with my body. The first time I realized that I had an issue, well, not an issue, but I didn't like my body, a guy brought it to my attention. And because I didn't want to talk to him, he called me flat booty.
Girl,
and I'm like, my butt is flat. Like, I was like, I never paid it no attention. And I was like really young. So I was like, and so I'm just like, oh, wow. So my butt is flat. And then I have a condition called Pcos. And with Pcos is insulin resistance. So I put on a lot of weight. So now I have an issue. I don't have a fupa. I have a booty do is what I call it. I call it that because I feel like my stomach stick out more than my booty do. So I'm like, I really, really hate that about myself. But, I'm learning to love it because I have positive women in my life that are different shapes, and I see how confident that they are. So times I am very confident in it. And then there's times that I look at myself in the mirror and I'm just like, if I could just cut this off, or if I could just work this off, or get a BBL, or something to just get this off, I will feel more better. And then sometimes I will look at myself and I'm like, well, God just made me how I am. And, and I just accept, like, look, somebody gonna love this flat booty one day.
Amen. It's period. So, it's the encouraging mood. It's the flat booty community for me, okay? And then some squats. We're gonna do some squats to work that out. But that can change. All right, Taylor, I see you over there, amen. And how would you describe your relationship with your body?
I actually understand where Destiny's coming from because I have endometriosis. So I will call my relationship with my body stressful.
Okay.
Because I have days and months where I can lose weight and I'm like, oh my God, my family like, girl, you slimming down. But then when I start having all these flare-ups, it brings on these cravings that, how when you're on your cycle as women, we get these obnoxious crazy cravings and we want cake and ice cream and cookies and all this stuff. So when I have those cravings, it doesn't go away. So to me, I feel like I have to feed my cravings in order to like please my body and to feel better. So we are stressed out at times because it's like my body doesn't know what it wants to do. Does it want to lose weight? Does it want to gain weight? Does it want to stay consistent? So, we just trying to figure out, where we want to be in life. That's where
that's right.
My body.
Okay. I love it. Bree, I see your hand. Talk to us.
Say, recently, I think I've become more confident in my body, but it's definitely been a struggle, through the years. I think, naturally, like I've had my insecurities about my body. And I always think about the one conversation we had, Angel, when you told me like, it's all about how you wear your weight. And I think ever since then, I have been more confident about my body. And yes, I'm not the slimmest person out here, but I don't like to walk around my head low. I had to get off social media at one point just so I can stop comparing myself. And I even did a 30-day mirror challenge for myself, just encouraging myself, saying that I love me and God loves me every day for 30 days. And it actually helped. So I think I'm in a space now where I'm more confident in the skin that I'm in and in the way that my body looks. And in that, I'm just more prioritizing being healthier, not all about being slimmer, but, eating the right foods and being on a more healthier journey for me and not be living to the expectations of how society or other women or even men think that I'm supposed to look.
Y'all out here dropping some gems, okay? Come on, Jen. I'm coming up your little alley. Come on, Jen.
I would say that my relationship with my body is layered right now.
Okay.
I am having like this little postpartum. My story now. I had a baby in November, but he passed away the day after he was born. And so I am just going through a whole bunch of layers with my body. I really did a lot of work during my pregnancy to love my body and to embrace postpartum changes. But because I didn't get to bring my baby home, I have all these feelings about my body now. And so I'm like, yeah, this is how my stomach looks. If my baby was here, it would be worth it. But is it worth it now because my baby's not here? Like all these things are just different for my body now. But also like, I love my body because it was the only place that I got to like connect with my baby and it grew my baby. And so it's just so layered because my body has done this incredible thing for me. And now it just is also like looking different too. So definitely.
I love that. I love that you have a positive outlook on it as well as sitting in your grief. So I absolutely commend you and love that. And thanks for sharing that with us. Tamika, I'm going to go to you next.
Of course you would. I don't know. When Angel first posted this question,
my response to her was like, love your body, how, in what way? And she was like, is there more than one way to do this? And I'm like, yeah, because, you know, you can put on a nice pair of lingerie, or your panties and your bra might match one day, and you're just feeling yourself, like you overall just loving your look because of what you have on. And me having 4 children, some days I don't even have time to notice whether or not I love my body. But then there are other days where maybe I'm just like, okay, well, you know, maybe I want to get rid of my breast, or I want to have a bigger butt tomorrow, or maybe it doesn't need to be bigger. Like I just want to shape it up. But then 90% of the time, I really just don't have time to focus on it. And I'll be honest in saying that I'm one of those people that probably 90% of the time I'm walking around naked. So it's hard not to love your body when you spend so much time with yourself. And I'm like that all the time. So I guess I've gotten more comfortable with it, or I'm completely comfortable with it in that aspect, because I spend so much time just looking at myself. I'm walking in the kitchen, I'm walking past the mirror, the TV, whatever. I mean, it's just me. Like I carry 4 kids, whatever. I mean, there are days, of course, like most people, where there are certain things I want to fix or make look better. But at the same time, I don't put too much emphasis on it, because I feel that in that journey, if you really want it, you're going to go get it. So I know that if I really wanted to change the things that I want to change about myself, I'm going to do what I need to do to reach those changes. Right now, I'm just in a place where it's just like, F it, you know.
That's real. Larissa, last but not least.
Oh boy. I would say the relationship with my body is definitely evolving. When I was younger, I had a lot of trauma around my body and the physical being that I was in. It's just, so it took me a long time to like accept that, you know, I could just feel comfortable and just walking and just being normal, you know, and not you know, loathing just being out in public, you know. So, you know, I struggled with my femininity for years, you know, because I was so used to harboring that trauma around my body and not wanting to people to like see it in like a light, you know. I wanted to hide and cover it, you know, instead of, you know, being out there and being confident and learning, redefining what femininity meant for myself, and then also allowing myself to, you know, be in spaces where I'm like, oh, let me try this makeup on, let me try this new hairstyle, let me try these new clothes that are form fitting, instead of, you know, but still modest, but instead of, you know, wearing baggy t-shirts and jeans and, you know, stuff like that. Just, you know, it's evolving, because as a woman, you know, you go from your younger years and then you get older and then your body changes, you know. You go through several changes over the years, and it's just like in every stage I've learned to accept where I was at, but also challenge myself to try new things so I can be able to embrace it. And sometimes it's just like changing my mind about things, like maybe I don't want to wear this today, or maybe I'm comfortable in these, you know, baggy pants today. And that doesn't strip away my femininity. That doesn't strip away, you know, who I am as a person. And, you know, my body can still regulate itself and feel comfortable. So
That's what's up. So I said last but not least, but I forgot I have to answer since I made you guys answer. But I'm in a place where I absolutely adore my body. Like Tamika, I walk around naked all the time. So, you know, if you in my home, I'm just like your guest, but this is what you're going to see if you're coming into my space, you know. But, you know, I feel like, and I've done that all my life. Like if you ask my brothers, they used to always say that I was conceited. They will tell you personally that I came up with the selfie with the little portable cameras. Like I was over there developing film of me taking a selfie of myself. Like I was always like that. But I did have a love-hate relationship growing up. And this is going to lead into our next question of at what point did you learn to dislike your body? And the reason why I asked that is because Tasia, you actually said you feel like you came out the womb not liking your body. However, I feel like the dislike of our body is taught by something a lot of you guys have mentioned, the media, comparison, men telling us how our bodies should look. And that's how I felt when I learned to dislike my body, because I don't feel like I came out the womb not, you know, learning not to like my body.
I feel like, you know, at different ages in my life, I loved it. Like at different ages, I was just like, oh, I wish this stomach would go away, or I wish my booty would grow. You know, the same sentiments that you guys shared. But I don't think I ever had a dislike until somebody pointed out and said, oh, you big, or you bigger than such and such look better than you. Like people rude for no reason telling you this. And you learn to take those projections and you wear them. At least that's what I did. So that's when I learned to dislike it. And so I'm curious to hear from you all at what point, and you all don't have to answer, but at what point did you learn to dislike your body? Bree, you touched on it, and I think Destiny touched on it. But I'm curious to learn. Jen, you definitely touched on it. I'm curious to learn.
Can I clear that up though?
Yeah.
So when I say I came out the womb, I gave some examples like as a child. So I guess what I'm saying is, of course, it's not something that's hereditary, but it seems like as a child, as young as I can remember, I was taught to not like my body from my color. So like people know that I don't even, for a long time, I didn't even like to be called, people look at me and consider me to be light skinned a little bit. I consider myself to be brown,
Okay.
but of course, I don't care so much now what people think it is. Like I am what I am. Whatever color you think I am, that's what I am. That's fine. But even as a child, as young as I can remember, being either treated different or felt different just because of certain characteristics about my body, from my color to my hair. So not, of course, coming out the womb and as a baby, because as a baby, you don't know. But as soon as I had consciousness and I understood, oh, this is good and this is bad, or this is ugly and this is cute, I've always thought that I was an ugly child. And I always thought that I was fat. And I always thought that I was whatever, just not pleasing to the sight. So since I can remember, I've always considered myself not to be pleasing to the sight.
That's good. Taylor, I'm going to go to you.
I started like disliking my body in like middle school or high school because my friends started saying who my siblings were. And they will always be like, that's not your brother. That's not your sister, because they're lighter than me. So they used to be like, you're lying, like you're adopted, and it shouldn't have triggered like an insecurity, but it did, because it's like, dang, I don't look like my brother or my sister. My brother has pretty eyes. I have brown eyes. My sister, you know, she grew up heavyset, but then we did all the activities together. She lost weight. I didn't lose weight. So it started, you know, kids are so evil when they don't understand that words do hurt. Like you have to learn that when you're speaking against somebody, you're cursing them in a certain way because you don't know the impact that your voice has on someone. Yeah. So that really like tarnished me, but I had to grow up to realize that everybody doesn't understand the meaning of how effective your words can be when you're speaking to someone.
That's real. Crystal, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I can relate to that. I was bullied from elementary school to college by women, and people always were like, oh, your sister's prettier than you, or she's better at this, or you're diabetic, oh, you're gonna die. Like, I remember at 6, this little girl had mentioned how she was like, you're meant to die. And the warping of my mind, because I was diagnosed with diabetes at 6. And when that happened, just who I was as a person completely changed. And I was a baby, like I was a child. And I held a lot of that with me. I was never the girl that guys would be like, hey, but when they saw that I had a big butt, it was just like, that became the identity, and I hated it. I didn't start to love my body until 2017, when it was a little rough in my marriage. So, and then 2020 hit, and I was just like, oh, sis is slimming down because of stress. The challenges, they just kept coming. So I can so relate to like being a kid and learning what it looks like to hate what God created you to be. I was adorable. I was so innocent and just really cute. And to think and look back at those pictures when I thought I was fat. And I'm just like, God dang, I'm 217 pounds right now. And I was 150, 140. And words, what's the saying? sticks and stones break your bones, but words never hurt you. That's the biggest lie that you could ever tell a child.
I agree.
Anyone.
I agree.
And it really warped me. So it started when I was 6, and it just increasingly grew where I thought I was the scum beneath your shoe. Never thought I was pretty. Never thought I was beautiful, which is why I settled in my adult life. And that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time. But like, yeah, it's rough. And I had to crawl out of that pit. Now I know I'm beautiful.
Amen.
Because I'm God's child.
Amen.
So,
all right, Des, go ahead and jump in.
Yes, I want to just piggyback on I'm sorry. Is it Latasia? Just I never grew up in a loving household, one. Never was told nothing. And I'm from the South, so I'm dark skinned. And I have a sister who's biracial. And that was like really my first time ever thinking that I was not beautiful because she had long hair and I didn't. I have 4C hair. Just being treated differently because she was prettier than me. I recall a time one lady was babysitting us, and anybody knows me, I have a huge thing for New Edition. And she had a New Edition poster and she gave it to me. And my stepsisters were like, well, I want it. So she took it from me and gave it to her. And she just being treated differently. And I've actually just had men and young boys tell me that I was ugly because I didn't, compare me to lighter skin. Because like in the South, if you don't have light skin, you're automatically ugly, like period. And not until my 30s, I will say, I even felt like I was somewhat beautiful. But from childhood growing up, I was very bony. Like I didn't gain weight until like my late 20s. I've always been like I was like slim. And just having the PCOS issues too, because with that I grow facial hair. I lose my hair. I have seasons where I lose my hair. So it's like I had got angry with God at one point in time because I'm like, you know me. I suffer with how I look, my looks, and you allow something to happen to me that will make me even feel even worse about myself. Like, so like I said, I have a love-hate thing.
No, that's real.
Like, with what it is, but yeah, just, when they were talking, when she was talking, it's just like, oh my God, like I could remember that, like skin color. Like I've always been the ugly friend, always been the ugly friend. And I mean, like men have been like, people like now they meet me, they're like, nobody ever told you you was ugly. I'm like, yes, they have. I've had men tell me to my face that they wanted my friend and not me.
So I have a question. I have a question to piggyback off of that. And I'm gonna ask this question in 2 ways because I feel like sometimes people are just very insensitive in what they say to people, but I wholeheartedly believe we have the ability to change that in the way that you allow people to talk to you. And then the more that we communicate and express how we feel about certain things, the more people can understand whether they decide to do this or not. Still, I've made this clear to you and I've said this and I've communicated this to you. Now you know how I feel. We can change it. So I'm curious to know, because it sounds like a lot of us in conversation or in something we saw, we were affected by it, which then changed the way that we thought about ourselves. What's something that you wish either slimmer people or heavier people would do differently to be a little more sensitive? And I'll give an example. I swear to being y'all, I want to punch every last one of my skinny friends in the face every time they be like, oh, I feel big as a house, or, oh, I look like a whale. And in my mind, I'm like, well, what the hell do you think I look like? Like, and they say that unconsciously, like, and not directly being like, oh, Angel, this is what they say. No, not you, not you. No, what you're saying is me, because I'm technically a fair size than you. Like, you real slim, sis. Stop saying that. So what is something, and Destiny, you brought up a good point because you said something about men. What is something that y'all feel like, or that you could say to them to be a little more sensitive in that area. That's one for me, because I swear to beans, I be ready to wreck. I ain't lying, y'all. I be ready to punch them dead in the face. So who want to follow up and jump on my reckless squad? What is something that people can do?
Unmuted. Larissa, was you going to say something?
I was going to say something to the previous question, but I can speak on that too. Yeah, I mean, I feel like people that are slimmer, or just anybody really, like, I think this is the thing about just women's issues in general. I think a lot of people speak on things that they have no knowledge about. And I think a lot of times people always think that slimness is health, and they don't know that women that battle with PCOS or endometriosis or all types of different hormonal things that go on in our body, like, that can prevent us from having this perfect figure. And I think if we realize that the goal overall is this person healthy, like
Exactly.
that's the thing that we should really be chasing after, and then it's just like, okay, if you have a skewed perspective on, weight and stuff like that, like, keep that to yourself. Like, you don't need to comment everything that you have a perspective about. You don't need to comment about, especially if it's somebody you around. And I think that comes with self-awareness. How people view themselves is how they're going to view the outside world as well. So it's just like, I think people need to become more self-aware, and they need to have more empathy. Like, because this person might not be lazy as they might think, or this person might not, this person might be going to the gym, but they can't lose it because they having health and hormonal struggles. So that's my thing, is just like, just be mindful that health is a complicated thing. And, skinny doesn't necessarily deem this, and fat doesn't necessarily deem that. So that's my whole piece on that.
Tamika, I'm gonna go to you first.
I can agree with exactly what she just said. And I feel like sometimes it be the people closest to you who really just don't know what to say. And because they are so close to you, they feel they can make those comparisons or make you feel less than because you're not. And I didn't have that issue where I really struggle with anything but my height, because I'm tall. So growing up, yeah, being tall was an issue because all the boys were shorter and you're too tall, whatever. But now it's like I've had 4 kids, I'm a little bit more shapely in a lot of different areas. And whereas maybe family members, especially, because they be the ones, oh, well, you could stand to lose some weight, or you got this. And I'm looking at them like, baby, if I didn't tell you I had a problem with it, you don't need to tell me I have a problem with it. And even if you have a problem with it, if I didn't discuss it with you, it's not your problem to discuss with me.
Right.
And I wholeheartedly feel that sometimes keep your comments to yourself, because even if it is a struggle for me, I don't need you to point out what I already know. And whatever I'm internalizing, I'm gonna figure it out when I'm ready to.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I feel like that is the biggest component. Whether you feel I'm too big, my butt too big, my boobs too big, that's for me to deal with. Your opinion compared to the next person's opinion can vary as well. Like, I don't feel that there is a standard in the lifetime we live in for what's supposed to be beautiful, because we've broken so many chains at this point that beauty is not just one concept. It's so many things that can make you beautiful. And I've looked at a skinny person with a big butt and breast and a nasty attitude, and you're unattractive to me completely. So we have to just, defy those stigmas, and people need to mind their business. That's just what it all boils down to. It's none of your business.
Bree, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this at you. I saw your hand. Then I'm gonna come to you.
Oh, well, I definitely agree with everyone has said, but from a different approach, I think more so. For me, most recently is I was working with a trainer, so I'm more so talking to the people that are like health fanatics and work out in the gym all the time. And when they see heavier people, they automatically assume that we're not eating right, that we're not working out, and sometimes some of us just lose weight a lot slower, and maybe even the foods that we're eating. Sometimes we have to have meal plans that work according to, our diet and how our body is built. And I think a lot of times when we do go out and try to resort to these trainers and even doctors and nutritionists, they don't take the time to really learn our body or understand. So even in that, when people are saying, oh, well, like personally, I had a trainer and he was always saying, well, you must not be following the meal plan. So because your weight is not coming off. I am following the meal plan. Now, am I somebody that can eat salmon every day? No, I'm sorry, I can't.
Exactly.
But at the same time, it's not working for me. No matter how long I follow the meal plan, it's not going to work. So we need to find a new approach. And instead of giving, constructive feedback, it's more criticism. Well,
Yeah.
if you don't do this, next time I'm going to make you work harder and this, that, and the third. And it just only makes us, me personally, hate my body even more and be like, well, if I'm not losing the weight the way that I know that I'm supposed to, then it must be me. And it's not that at all.
Yeah. Latasia, I'm gonna let you jump in and then, go ahead.
Okay, so earlier I had wanted to cover somebody else's comment. So I'm just gonna kind of go through, but I'm gonna bring it full circle and I'm not gonna take a long time, I promise. I won't hurry up. So when Destiny was talking about complexion, I just wanted to double back on that. So while I remember I was saying sometimes people say I'm light skinned or whatever, I'd be like, maybe it's the hair because the hair is light. But before I got darker cousins, I was the dark skinned one in my family. Like my older cousin, like people used to call her Casper. Like my grandmother is light, my cousins are light, my aunts are light. Like I'm the dark skinned one in the family. So I definitely understand that. And my family is from South Carolina and Mississippi. So I understand when they talk about light skin or, I'm saying, oh, if it was a not so attractive light skin person. I've heard someone in my family say, oh, that's a lot of light skin on the waist, stuff like that. So I feel you on that. But the simple fact that other people would consider me light skin used to throw me off because I never got treated like I was light skin. So it used to bother me to be called light skin because I'm like, no, I'm the nigga in the family. So I don't like being called light skin because I don't I get treated just like a outside nigga. You know what I'm saying? So like, I get that, but that was my perception of myself. And so, because of what I was taught, or how I was treated. And so when Taylor was talking about, how kids are cruel, even family members or people who don't even realize I was called an ugly little thing, stuff like that by people who love me, you know what I'm saying? Just like, and so people don't realize that what you say is a curse and then you accept that. Right. And so you start to believe that, and that's what you see in yourself. And so, like Angel, when you were saying, it gets on your nerves when people be like, oh, I'm big as a whale, and they be like 140 pounds, you know what I'm saying? And you struggling to come down off the 200s, and you're like, well, what you thinking about me? But, you know what I'm saying? I don't think that they're necessarily considering you, because when I look at other people and they look heavy, so I'm like, but why couldn't you let me look like this if I'm going to be heavy? You know what I'm saying? Like, right. It's different for me when I look at myself. I see something totally different. When I look back at pictures when I was like 135 pounds in high school, I'm looking like, dang, I was that small? I used to think I was huge. When I was 135 pounds, I'm like still struggling between 190 and 180 right now. Just came down from 222 from last year. So like, and I like my body now. When I look I walk past naked too. You know what I'm saying? Like I got a shirt on now for y'all, but usually this is not how, I live by myself. So I love it. When I say I'm in the honeymoon stage of my body, I love it, but I didn't when I was 135 pounds, 14 years old. And it's still people who are 44 years old, 135 pounds, and they think they look huge because of their perception. Just like I thought, I felt darker, or I felt whatever, or I felt like I was fat when I was like this big looking at old pictures, is because of my perception. So when somebody is like, oh, I'm as big as a whale, they just don't really see what they look like. They, you know what I'm saying? They have the image. It's almost like my mind is playing tricks on me. You look it in the mirror, but you don't see what everybody else sees. And that's why they say stuff like that. And so when Larissa was, like people need to be more self-aware. That is the issue. It's not, I mean, if somebody's saying something to you, it's like, well, be mind your business, because what I'm doing over here is what I'm doing and my body's what it is. But when they're talking about themselves, I don't think that we should feel offended when they're talking about how they look a certain way, even though we're bigger than them, because that's their own mental health issue when it comes to what they see in the mirror. They don't see.
I agree only to a certain extent, because I feel like they can learn to be sensitive with their words. Because even though I'm not offended by what they say when they say, oh, I look big as a house or I look big as a whale, because I've learned to love myself and know that it's not targeted towards me. But I do feel like people need to be more aware of what they're saying, even if you feel like that about yourself. It's like, oh, okay, well, now I know this is how I feel about myself, but let me look around the room for a minute before I just make this broad comment, oh, I look big as a house. I'm like, sis, you're small. You're small. Okay, let's consider the big people for real, man. But that's all I meant. That's all I meant.
Well, Brianna, okay, so this is the last one, Brianna. I was gonna say men don't understand. So I don't know if your trainer is a male, but I know for me, part of me loving myself also came from I teach nutrition, and I had to start like apply. You know how we know stuff and we don't apply it. When I started to apply nutrition to myself and like do the stuff that I know, I actually started. I haven't worked out, girl. Like Planet Fitness has been taking money out of my account. I haven't been in like maybe a year. You know what I'm saying? But I have been losing weight, and part of it is me sleeping better. I'm 42 now, so I have to do things different. My hormones have changed, and I have a thyroid issue. So it's like all of those things, and I didn't want to have surgery, you know? So it's like I have to be careful with what I eat. My hormones, like men, they can stop eating sugar and then they'll lose weight like that. It won't work for us. We have to consider our sleep, you know what I'm saying? Like our hormones balance. Now we're going to gain weight, whether you have a thyroid issue like me or not. Somebody here said they got endometriosis. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so you gotta watch your health now. You gotta, take supplements maybe to help you have more vitamins that's gonna help you release the human growth hormone in your body so that you can repair stuff, so the stuff don't inflame. And I'm sorry for going on, but we gotta do more as women, especially as you get older. When you get up here with me, girl, you gonna have to do a little bit more health-wise to lose weight. And then you not even working out, 8 hours of sleep, drinking water, and eating stuff that's gonna balance your hormones out.
So Jen has a question for us, and I want to hear all about
it. Okay. So I think my question kind of came from what you were talking about, Latasia, about like self-awareness. In my grief, I have kind of just had a lot of time to just sit and reflect and be aware of just this body journey that I have been on for my entire life. And just looking at what the relationship with my body looked like in different phases of my life. And in this journey of grief too, my question is like, how does grief impact your relationship with your body? And so when I say grief, I mean loss of any kind, like a breakup, death. In my case, it's infant loss, but like miscarriages, any kind of like loss, friendship breakup. How has like grief impacted, your relationship with your body?
So Larissa, I saw your hand first, and then I'm gonna go to Taylor.
Oh my goodness, that's such a beautiful question, because I think a lot of the times my relationship with grief was just, the aspect of a death of a person. But I realized over the past 7 years, I moved away from DC and I came back home. And for me, that was a whole grieving process, because I was flourishing and then something happened to me. And then I had to come back home, and then I had to deal with all the situation with my family back home. So I was grieving the loss of my newfound self and my newfound freedom. And then on top of that, I was grieving, being assaulted, So my thing, for the past 7 years, I had to learn how to accept my emotions. And a lot of the times I had to talk to the little Larissa, as I call her, because sometimes she comes up and she acts up because she didn't learn how to self-regulate. So I'm now, as an adult, I'm learning how to appreciate her journey, but also allowing myself to be like, okay, Larissa, like, you are feeling anger. Okay, you are feeling loneliness. You are feeling disappointment. Like, learning how to identify those feelings and sit in those feelings, and also not let it sway my behavior. So learning to get through grief, was a process for me, but I didn't even know that it was associated with the loss of other things. And once I learned that, I was just like, okay, I know what this is. This is grief. Okay, there's a process to get through grief, and you never really get over the loss of something. You just get a little bit better with processing it over time. So, when little Larissa comes up and she wants to act up, I can help her and also be able to be in my adult self and kind of like what they call in therapy reparenting, like being like, okay, I understand.
That's
Like,
good.
this is what you're going through. Like, it's not going to last forever, and then, leaning on my community and being like, yo, like, this is something that I'm going through. Sometimes you do feel like you're going through it by yourself, but other people might not be in your same situation, but they understand what that anger or that loneliness feels like, and they can assist you through that too. So it's learning to be okay with the process, because I love the end result. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get through this grief. At the end, I'm gonna be a better, slimmer person with, more outgoing. Like, nah, like every part of the journey is just as important as the end. So learning how to get through those parts of the journey and accept that, sit through it, and learn that, hey, this is the beautiful part of life that's gonna transform you, because you can understand this emotion and get through it and know that you're not going to die or suffer, for too long through that emotion. And emotions are emotions. They're indicators, like on your car, you want to go left, you want to go right, but you don't necessarily have to turn that way. So that's the whole thing with grief in the process, and just learning like radical acceptance of it.
That's real. Taylor. And then I'm gonna throw it at Crystal.
I'm gonna be quick with it. I'll just say I took the grief as a void, and I learned that I was filling my void with everything that was unhealthy, and it was weighing on me physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I learned that's a whole different story. My testimony of my healing is a whole different story. But when I got to my healing journey, it made me love myself more, and it made me realize that my grief was there because God had something better in store. So I had to fill my void with like things of him and his word and prayer. And, not everybody is a spiritual person. Not everybody, they have their own different journey. But I learned that whatever your journey is and whatever your peace is, that is where your healing comes from. And that is how you're able to overcome that grief. And that is how you're able to just feel the need of even feeling better or looking better or feeling beautiful. And that's where I do, like, I wake up in the morning, I won't say the exact words because my family told me to change the words a little bit, but I look in the mirror every morning and I be like, you fine. Like, don't let nobody tell you anything different. Like, queen, you look good. Whatever you going through, whatever got you down, like, you the ish. Don't, whatever anybody try to throw at you throughout the day, like, you not ugly. Ain't no man can make you, they won't break you. Like, you are you, and God made you this way. So that's how I got over my grief and became this healing, not guru, but like, I'm all about healing. Like, heal, it's okay, and your process is your process.
Absolutely. I'm here for all of it. Crystal, I'm gonna end this question on you. We're not gonna have time to get to everybody, but it just sounds like we need a part 2 to this conversation, because these conversations are needed. It's like we don't have these conversations enough. So, Crystal, I definitely want to hear this response from you. And then we're going to get into our last question to close out the night.
Yeah. I had to recognize with grieving that one chapter does not dictate my full story. So because of who I serve, there's power of life and death on the tongue. So I had to change my narrative. I had to change my perspective. When I lost my aunt, I told God I wanted to take her place because I don't want to be here. And that came from depression. And I had to heal in those areas. And I still am. I still deal with a lot of different things, but I push harder now. Because grief, it comes and it goes, and then it comes back again. It sneaks up on your doorstep. And when you allow for that door just to be tiptoed open and you run through it, you got to say, no, I'm closing the door. I've taken the steps to be a better woman of God or woman of whatever. And I know for me, losing my marriage, this life that I had for 7 years that I was miserable with, people were like, well, how are you not grieving that? I was grieving my marriage within my marriage. So after the marriage, I was okay. And she's talking right. I don't remember who said it, that when you're grieving, I think it was Larissa, you're continuously dealing with that, but you process it better. You push harder and you move past it. So when those thoughts creep up, it's just like, hey, chill out. That was 2 chapters ago. Look at where I am now. And I'm just grateful that when you put your faith in God, the grief that you have, I don't necessarily think grief is a bad thing. I think it pushes you to grow in an uncomfortable state so that you can be a better version of you and learn from what that chapter brought you. And as a 32-year-old woman, I've grieved a lot. Horrible relationship with my family at one point took a divorce for me to actually see that my parents were human, that they actually like me. I think, and that they love me, that I actually can be cool with my siblings. And I had to grieve all of that. Oh, God, just the way he works is crazy. God is limitless. So I have to give my grief to him. God, I lost all this weight. I was 197 pounds for a majority of 2020. I lost all this weight due to stress. And I was just like, God, now I'm back in the 200s. I had to grieve all of that hard work that I went through. Then I realized it was a horrible way to lose weight because I was stressed. It was killing me. Then I lost my hair. And then I was just like, Dad, I be seeing these women on my screen right now. I see Angel, Taylor, and Brianna, all with locks. All I wanted was locks this year. And I have to grieve that every time I see someone, and it's just like, grief, it can come in a small form or a big form, but it's really about how you run through it and process it. You take it one day at a time, 1 second at a time sometimes, and you have to run through it. And that will teach you how to deal with it in a healthy way. Journal, pray, have community, worship music. You have to praise through it. What does your praise look like? When you're grieving, what does your praise look like when you are in a stuck situation, in a pit, and you can't get yourself out, where there is no one there to pull you out? Who are you going to run to? Your creator. The glory of the Lord is powerful and it is limitless. Oh yeah, I can go on and on and I won't, but it's just like, read your word. that'll solidify it. But you have to push when you're grieving, because if you live there, you're vacationing there. That's your new home. And you are bigger than your grief, but God is bigger than the grief. On the other side of grief is freedom. And when you recognize that, you learn how to push a little harder, from my perspective.
Thanks for sharing. I appreciate it. Brianna hit something earlier and she reminded me of what I shared with her. And this is my life story, Jen, to answer your question. Like, I literally had to learn how to carry my weight before I could figure out how to lose it. And a lot of that came from my grief, my own experience. Like, I am a survivor of rape. And so going through sexual assault of any kind will take a toll on you. I remember countless nights crying myself to sleep and trying to figure out, oh, did I eat today? Did I do this? And I still had to work and I still had to show up for everybody. But during that time of grieving, I didn't talk to people and I didn't know how to balance my emotions or anything that I was going through. So literally there was a period between the time that I was raped till 2020 where I gained so much weight. Looking at my pictures, I was like, I don't even remember gaining the weight, but it was there and I wore it. I wasn't letting anything go or anything. But the moment I learned how to carry it, and what I mean by that was not just physically, but mentally. The moment I learned how to carry my weight, talk about it, join community groups, that's where I met Jen. Like, I met her through a community group of women, just learning how to balance certain things and talk about certain things of life and having conversations like these. Like, conversations like this helped me release so much weight that I was carrying. And then I got into the gym. Once I was able to focus on my mental, I was able to work on my physical. The physical came with getting in the gym. I didn't start out with a goal. I feel like a lot of us limit ourselves by saying, oh, I want to be 180 pounds by such and such time. And then when we don't meet it, we get stressed out again. So we start to pile on more stuff. We become more stressed. I went in there with one goal. I want to be healthy. Once I saw that and learned what healthy looks like, it's talking to nutritionists, learning your bodies. And one thing I will say about nutritionists, not every nutritionist is going to know you, just like not every personal trainer is going to know you. It took me 2020 when we were in a pandemic to learn my body, learn what my food allergies was, because I went to allergists who told me, oh, it's just nature, it's just this. And I learned that it was the food that I was consuming that was having my body react a certain way. So it's really just taking time to learn yourself. And once you begin to learn yourself, you can learn to love or hate what it is that you don't like. But the moment you hate something, you're able to change it. Some things you are definitely able to change. And if we can't change it forever, for instance, I have hypothyroidism and I had to have surgery. So my weight is going to be up and down. I can't control it. Like I really can't control, oh, this is what I want to be when I want to be it. But the more that I work out, learning different ways to change this, it's always a learning. Somebody said that they're evolving with their bodies. Like somebody said that they're learning to love it. They got a love-hate relationship. It's so many different things that we experience with our bodies. But the moment you learn, sit with yourself and become self-aware with who you are and what you're dealing with, you can begin to start a journey of health and wellness and learning to love who you are and sitting in the skin that you're in. So my very last question, and the way that we're going to end this night, I want to hear some encouragement from anyone, whatever place you're in with your body, where you are now. What encouragement would you give to someone who's in your position? Destiny, Tamika, I saw your hand. Destiny, I'm gonna start with you, and then I'm gonna go to Tamika.
Well, first, I want to say just what has been told to me is I'm made in God's image and he makes no mistakes. And, just give yourself positive affirmations, even when you don't feel it. Some days I don't feel beautiful, but you know what? I remind myself, God created me in this image. God created me the way that I am. And I'm going to love to learn myself. And positive affirmations work for me. So if you could speak life and beauty into yourself, then I encourage you to do that.
I love it. Tamika?
I really feel like the biggest thing or the most important thing for you to do is spend some time with yourself. People look at me like I'm crazy sometimes, or I've had friends over the years like, she always naked when I come over. But you don't understand, like being naked is the best feeling in the world. And you can turn that looking in the mirror and like pointing out your flaws to something so beautiful for yourself if you just spend that time with yourself. And I literally walk around most of the time like that. So I'm so comfortable within my skin that I don't feel that I need to cover up. And if anybody doesn't like it, that's their problem to deal with, because my body is my problem to deal with. And that's what we have to understand. If it's something you don't like about yourself, you have all the power to change it. Whether you have a struggle behind getting that change, your journey is still your journey. It's nobody else's. So spend some time with yourself. And every once in a while, you could throw a pair of lingerie on, make your bra match your panties, if that's what works for you. But I promise you, I have my days where most of the time I leave out the house. I don't care what I have on. I put on sweatpants, a t-shirt, and not because I don't love my body. I just don't care. But I also know that my tone of my voice and everything changes if I brush my hair today, or if I put on an outfit that I actually took some time. So spend some time with yourself. Find out what makes you feel good, because what everybody else thinks, it really doesn't matter.
Period. Bree, I'm coming up your lane, girl. What you got?
I think one of the biggest things that I would tell people is something I tell myself is to give yourself grace. Because I think a lot of times we're really hard on ourselves when we notice, our body may not be doing the things that we want it to do, or, the imperfections that we see. But when you're giving yourself grace, I think you're allowing yourself to be human. And in that's something that I learned through therapy is the power of giving yourself grace. It allows you not to stress as much. It allows you to be healthy. It allows you to think about ways to be more positive with yourself, to allow yourself to grow and develop and understand that, especially if you're on a weight journey, it's a process and it's part of life. And this is the only body that we get. So, we have to love it as it is and, cherish it as if it's something that is a prized possession. So it's not nothing that God gave us by mistake, but I think that we should definitely allow ourselves to have that space to be to give ourselves grace in that space, and then also just to allow ourselves to just say, I love you, I love myself, and not expect for other people to give us those compliments and the love that we seek within ourselves if we can't give it to ourselves. I think that's a big thing, moving forward.
Come on, self-love. Jen?
I agree with everybody. And also I feel like we can hold two things at the same time. So just like we learn how to dislike our body from other people, we need that. We still need other people to say like, oh, you look cute today, or like, oh, your body looks banging or whatever. Like, I don't want to discount that, because we're just human, and humans, we like compliments. Like, that's just real. And so I would say, like, I think that society has conditioned us to think that the standard of beauty looks one type of way. And so surrounding yourself with people that have freed themselves from the shackles of thinking that like slim or skinny is the only way to be pretty. Like, there are a lot of people who think all types of bodies are cute and all types of bodies are beautiful, and who just embrace people as they are. And I would say, like, find those people, surround yourself with them, and do all of the self-work. Like, you have to love yourself, of course, but also, like, we can't just not care what other people think.
That's snaps. Tasia, I'm gonna go to you, then I'm gonna throw it at Crystal, and we're gonna end with Larissa.
Yeah, so the same. I do definitely agree with everybody, with what everyone said. And I think that everyone pretty much touched on my sentiments exactly. Like, speaking life into yourself, because you're the first one to hear what you say, because you think it first. And I mean, redirecting your thoughts. Because whether you believe it or not, because you're not always gonna feel like, I mean, if you have a food pie and you don't want it, you're not gonna be happy with it. But touching it and being like, well, this is my body still. This is
girl, embrace that baby.
Loving it, yeah, because that does make a difference what you say to yourself. I mean, of course, people are always going to judge, and you and receive the compliments well when you get them. Not just like how I used to be, like somebody be like, oh, you look good. So like, for real? No, not for real. Yes, you look good today. Even if you don't think it, just redirecting your thoughts and accepting a different scenario or a different thought process. Somebody earlier said that, but I can't remember who it was, but they was like, affirmations help them. And that's for real. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, because it took me a long time, but I love my body. I love where I am. Like, and I'm going to continue to work on myself. But I mean, just having to speak life into yourself, that's important. I'm going to just leave it.
I'm here for it. Crystal?
All right. So, yeah. Look, you are with you every day. So you got to be nice to yourself, because the world is life be life. And so be nice to yourself every day. I'm going to say, get in your word. If you view how God views you, if you only knew how God views you, it can help just sway that negative stuff. And then, the negative, it happens, but you have to be able to be nice to yourself and be like, look, I'm God's daughter and I'm fine. Mother, shut your mouth. You gotta really like talk yourself up. Pop your ish, ladies. Do that, because we are beautiful Black women. That's it. That's the post. We can stop the video. We're beautiful Black women. Our melanin is popping. Tap into your feminine side. Like, I think if anything I've done for myself is I tapped into my feminine side. My friends would be like, oh girl, Crystal, you smile this flirty. And it's just like, smile more. And maybe you can be flirty too. Like, not that I'm being flirty every time I smile, but like, that's my money maker. Everyone loves my smile. And everyone is just like, yo, you're just so feminine. I don't know where it came from. I just asked God, help me to be more of a lady. And for me, what that looks like for me, because I can go out the house, put on some leggings, some Nikes, my little tube socks, little t-shirt, and be super cute, wig or no hair. And it's just like, I feel super feminine and good. And you lose your hair. I lost my confidence, I felt like, when I lost my hair in 2020, by myself in my kitchen in the middle of a pandemic. And I had to learn again what it looked like to be nice to myself beyond the circumstances. And guys like Pcos, so I'm just gonna put that out there, respect. But
I love it.
the last thing I'll say is just to share this quote: open your mouth only if what you say is more beautiful than silence. So when I wake up in the morning and I don't have my eyebrows on, I used to be like, dang, man, I just wish I had my brows, but I do have alopecia. My hair, I barely have, I'm very bare just naturally. I don't have a lot of hair. I'm always cold, y'all. So it's just like in my mind, I have to be like, nope, we're not complaining. Complaining is me. I've learned that when I complain, I'm not putting my belief in God that He can do bigger. And I still complain sometimes, and I have to catch myself. So I've just learned I'm going to open my mouth when what I'm going to say is more beautiful than silence or more beautiful than the negative. And it keeps me from being depressed and sad. So yeah, be nice to yourself, guys.
Oh, thanks for
Can
sharing.
I please just say, girl, I love your hair. I mean, you rocking it. Like it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that it was on. I didn't know that you had to do it. I thought you did it on purpose. Like, cause I've seen you on social media. That's all I wanted to say. Girl, you look good.
You do. You look good.
I have multiple bald spots.
You rock it
I just like I'm about to do it. Thank you, guys.
Larissa, we're going to end it with you.
I just want to say y'all so beautiful. Y'all bring light into the universe. So I appreciate every woman's story today. It was just life-giving to me. So I appreciate you guys. I would say I would just speak for myself. You know, in the process of learning to love my body, I really learned the gift of being present now, you know. And if you can't love the Larissa today, guess what, Larissa? You're not going to love the Larissa tomorrow or the Larissa when you get there. So just learning to be present and accepting yourself for where you are now, because that's going to help you to get where you want to go. And I think a lot of the times as women, we want to be everything, be superwoman, do everything, and we're capable of doing that. But a lot of times when we get into this like crazy kind of struggle with loving ourselves and our bodies and stuff like that, it's because we need rest. So start with getting rest, whether that's mentally, you know, going to therapy and helping you get rest. Physically, if you need to sleep for 15 hours, sleep for 15 hours. If that's going to get you to where you need to go. If you need soul rest, you know, build a community around you that's going to help you and support you so you don't have to do everything, be everything at this moment. Right now, you need to build from the foundation up, and rest is where it starts. Then get clarity on who you are, who you want to be, and where you're trying to go. And that takes, you know, like one of you beautiful sisters said, you know, spending time with yourself, making space in the day, even if that's 30 minutes to spend time with yourself and be like, Larissa, how am I feeling today? How do you want to feel today? You know, is this the best that you can do today? And if it is, that's okay. And then the third is get disciplined. Wherever you want to go, I'm telling you, you're going to have to be disciplined. You're going to have to set up a regimen. You're going to have to put different spaces or different times a day to go and work out, to go and find out about nutrition. You're just going to have to do it. This is just, it's not it's going to come and I'm going to get this information by osmosis. Like, you're going to have to find the research, be disciplined. And out of that discipline, you're going to transform to that butterfly that you're really, you know, meant to be. And then my last point is get community. Community. I cannot even explain to you how my life has grown and been enriched by, you know, the different women in my life. And before, you know, I was scared to be around a bunch of women. I'm a tomboy. I spend time with guys, you know, I'm comfortable in that. But, you know, my self-love has helped with different women, you know, champion me on, you know, telling me that you can do this, you know, you're capable of doing this. And also, even if you don't feel like you're doing your best today, like, you can start again tomorrow. You can always start again. You can start again in 30 minutes if you want to, you know. So those are my couple of points on, you know, how to start the healing journey and how to embrace yourself, you know, and it's possible. Just, that's the main point. Think it is possible. And when you start from there, anywhere it is accessible to you.
I love it.
I want to applaud each and every last one of you ladies. I thank you so much for even just being willing to share your stories on how you've learned to love your body or what you're doing to even learn to love your body. So thank you guys so much. Shameless plug. You guys can catch this and many more conversations like this on the Healthy and Healed Lifestyle Exchange. If you follow us on YouTube, or if you're looking for some daily encouragement or foolishness from myself, follow me. It's me, Angel B, on IG. It's me.Angel B. But get plugged in to the Healthy and Healed Lifestyle Exchange. And if you want to join more conversations like this, just feel free to message me, comment below, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, ladies, so much for sharing all of your gems. Love you, love you, love you. And continue to empower one another, encourage one another, and show love to one another. That's it. Peace.